Alright, so today I'm going to go over some tips and tricks for you to be a better student pilot. Because I was not a very smart pilot, especially when I first started out. I knew absolutely nothing. I went into aviation not knowing a single thing, so when I first got on that plane, I was scared, nauseous, and didn't know a single new thing. I couldn't comprehend anything that was happening in the plane. I was just going, ooh, ooh, and when I was landing, I'm pretty sure I was not landing. I'm pretty sure my flight instructor was right there just being like, yeah, you're landing it. Yeah, you're landing it. Uh-huh. No. So one of the first helpful advices I can give you is make sure you understand your aircraft. You need to know the aerodynamics and the performance limitations of that aircraft. If you can understand how your aircraft stays in the air, why you're stalling, how you stall, how your lift works, your horizontal lift and vertical when you do different turns, or why the aircraft has different things like the 172s we have differential ailerons, why we have that, why the wings are shaped. If you can understand those concepts, then everything else in your aviation journey will seem a lot simpler and easier to comprehend. Please like your instructor. If you and your instructor are not vibing together, then you are going to have a very bad lesson. If you just constantly feel pressured or under stress every time you get in that plane, it's going to show in how you fly. It definitely will. No matter how tough you think you are, if your instructor is telling you you're doing bad or holding you back on lessons because you just don't feel confident with them, it's a problem. I was held back for many lessons because of one simple mistake I was making, and my instructor just kept berating me. Like one time my instructor told me I was slow and wasn't capable of being a pilot. Understand the what, the why, and how. What I mean by that is understand what we are doing, why we are doing it, and how it works. That also ties in with performance limitations and understanding everything else like that. But understanding all those in that order can make things a lot simpler, especially during ground school and ground courses. If you go at it like that, it should be a lot simpler to understand. Instead of trying to combine everything together, it just seems a little bit easier to me. Please don't rush your training. Nobody wants an inexperienced pilot. If you're just trying to go through all your ground school and all your training as fast as you can, you're not going to have the experience to go through all the different situations that might come up in the future. Especially if you go through all your ground school by trying to memorize a Quizlet, it's going to show in your flight training. I know a lot of DPEs or check instructors will just pass by people, but I really think they shouldn't. I really think being a pilot, you need to understand everything that's happening in that plane and why it happens. Also, don't be afraid to ask for help. Asking for help isn't a bad thing. Sometimes you don't know things and you're not supposed to know things. That's the whole point of being a student pilot. Ask. You shouldn't be embarrassed, and the person you're asking should always be helpful. That's what pilots are there for. It's supposed to be a community of people that are supposed to help everyone. Also, don't be arrogant. Arrogant pilots die. That is the number one thing that kills a lot of pilots outside of the obvious like air transport pilots. Local pilots and stuff like that are always get arrogant and cocky with their skills. Don't get cocky, don't get complacent. Always refresh and stay up to date with everything aviation. Don't think you know everything, you don't. Also, please talk out everything you do. Whether that's in the plane or during your orals, talk it out. If you're doing it on takeoff, descent, or anything else like that, read out your checklists, even if you're by yourself, and make sure that you cover everything so that way you don't make a mistake and there's nothing that can go wrong. Well, nothing that can go wrong on user error. Like yesterday, I was flying, we had our gas on both, but it looked like it was only taking from our left engine. So we decided to turn it to the right, but the problem with that, if it was taking only from the left and we turn it to the right, that means there's a possibility that it's not going to take from the right at all and just cut all fuel to our engine and sputter out our engine and have an engine failure. We took that chance because we were close to the airport and we still had a lot of fuel in our left engine, so we could just turn it, but there's always that chance. But you have to understand what would have happened if you did turn it to that right side and the possible risks that happened with it. This ties into what I just said, but being able to problem solve an answer. Even during your orals, if you don't know the answer to something, problem solve it. A good pilot can problem solve a lot of the problems that are in front of them. If you can't problem solve, then that's bad, obviously. You don't want to start trying to put flaps down if you haven't even looked at your airspeed indicator to show what your notch are supposed to be at. Okay, my last two tips are to study and have fun. You are flying an aircraft, have fun. Not a lot of people get to do this, and not a lot of people succeed. So make sure you study hard and make sure you have fun, because obviously, you are a pilot. Have fun.